From Homedale to Salmon River, District 3 has several teams that don't always get their due. Stepping outside the shadows of the SIC, this is the Treasure Valley Prepcast with Logan Green.
That's right. It's another edition of the Treasure Valley Prepcast on IdahoSports.com. Brandon Baney alongside Logan Green, breaking down everything classes 3A, 2A, 1A in District 3 in the state of Idaho. Logan, what's up? How you doing?
Good, man. Good. Exciting weekend of basketball and crazy. We're about to turn the corner here.
Yeah. So quick programming note. I was going to run this by you before I hit record, but I didn't. So we're going to do this live now. So when we got from the end of fall sports season and transitioned into winter sports, we took a week off, right? State football got over and we kind of took a week off to like decompress and like recover. And I was thinking of doing the same thing. We'll do this show today and then we'll take a week off maybe, and then come back and hit spring sports running.
Yeah, I think people will have started by next week, right? Into next week. I think some lacrosse was actually played last weekend. So people are starting off already.
And this is mostly for, over where you're at, I always joke it's the banana belt. The weather is a lot milder this time of year, but in all the other districts where we do these weekly prep casts, Logan, like games are getting wiped out. There's no spring. Like in East Idaho, it snowed 3 inches overnight. So there's no.
Yeah. We don't get that.
so just to keep everything consistent level, we'll take next week off across the board on all our podcasts, and then we'll come back in 2 weeks ready to hit the ground running to talk about what's going on in spring sports. So
I mean, if with that, we'll put in a plug. If you've got a story for spring sports to start, let us know during that time. We've got 2 weeks now to get something. So softball, track, baseball, lacrosse, whatever it is, just get us something. We would love to talk about it. If, obviously we'll be out there looking, but if you've got something specific that we need to know about, you've got 2 weeks to get it to us.
No doubt. You can leave us a comment on the video version of this podcast, IdahoSports.com YouTube channel or Facebook page. You can hit us up on Twitter at Brandon_Baney at Idaho Sports LPG. That's Logan's Twitter handle. We're on Instagram. You can hit us up there. You can send us an email, Brandon at IdahoSports.com, Logan at IdahoSports.com. So lots of different ways that you can get in contact with us each and every week. So let's take one last look at Boise State basketball. Just wrapped up this past weekend in Boise. And I mean, the story is the Melba Mustangs toasted the 2A, winning the 2A championship. Came into state as the 4 seed, had to play Ambrose right away in the opening round again, knocked them off, defeated North Fremont and St. Mary. Melba ran the gauntlet, in my opinion. They played the other 3 best teams at state and beat them all.
Yeah, 100%. And I saw some people griping out there that saying the state championship was that first game between Melba and Ambrose. And I don't know if they're wrong, Brandon. I don't know if that, but the thing is, I think those were the 3 best teams. So you could have put Ambrose, St. Mary's, you put them in the state championship game, North Fremont, any one of those 3 could have been in that game and nobody would have batted an eye and said, oh, North Fremont shouldn't be here. Or, oh, Ambrose. It could have been any of those 3. Those were definitely the best 3 in the tournament besides Melba, and Melba went through all 3 of them. I don't know if anybody had a tougher path to a state championship out there at any classification. I mean, you could really dig into it and make arguments either way, but I tell you, Melba's was one of the toughest roads to a championship that you will see.
Yeah, and Ambrose was a little banged up. They had some injuries, and they ended up losing to Bear Lake in the consolation final as well. But Ambrose had a tremendous season as well. For Melba, it was really impressive. We talked to Joe Reber after the game, and we put that video interview up on our Facebook page, IdahoSports.com Facebook page, and he talked about in the summer. Melba went to the College of Idaho, the C of I tournament in the summer, and won that tournament. And their coach, Spencer Trappett, said, hey, the team that wins this historically has a pretty good chance to win state. So I think this could be a special year. And he was correct. What a year for Melba.
Yeah, no, congrats to them. I mean, I saw them play early mid-season in that game against Ambrose, which they lost. And that was that their last loss, Brandon. I don't have the schedule up in front of me, but it was one of their last losses. It was mid-January when they went to Ambrose, and me and Lucas went there and broadcasted the game. And it was a 1-point game in the fourth quarter. Ambrose ended up stretching it out into a big win. And it was just I mentioned this before, I've never seen a team miss as many shots that just hit every part of the rim and did not go down. And I said that was not characteristic of them. I thought they looked really good in that game. And man, it proved to be correct, right? That they went on and they beat Ambrose a couple more times, right? To finish out the year, including in the state tournament, and then win a state championship. And I just knew at that game that was not the Melba that, what people saw on paper was not truly what that team was. That they will never have a night like that where literally nothing was falling. And it was just, rattling around the rim. It was a crazy game. But then they go and win the state championship. So congrats to them. It was an awesome run by Melba, and congrats for repping District 3.
Yeah, you're right, Logan. Melba had not lost since that 60-49 loss to Ambrose back on January 13th. Melba only lost twice all year. I didn't realize that their record was that gaudy. They lost to Homedale in December by 4, and then they lost that game to Ambrose by 11. And otherwise, they went 24-2. How were they the 4 seed?
That's what there's been debates about how Max Preps seeded people. Like you look at the 4A, I think maybe there was, some griping that Middleton shouldn't have been. Middleton would, they were ranked high all season long, and then they got a low one, and people said that's where they should be. And it looked like they probably were the 2nd seed in that tournament at the end of the day. And so there is some room for for discussion there. But man, yeah, that's Homedale, that was a team that I thought. So Homedale, right? They go on and win their side. Well, they lose that first game in overtime to Snake River, and then they go on to win the consolation final. Homedale was my pick to sneakily, I thought, was going to sneak their way to Saturday at the Idaho Center. I really thought that they were going to find a way, and I think that if they had won that game at Snake River, that they were going to be there. And they almost did, right? They barely lost it, and I thought that's where they were going to end up. And so for Melba to only lose that one game to them, great 3A team, one above them, and then that game that will never, ever occur again at Ambrose where nothing would fall. You're looking at a team that really unblemished. Besides those two, what did they do wrong this year? But nothing.
And that opening round win over Ambrose was a tight one, 48-45. Ambrose and head coach Ken Sugarman came in with a great game plan. I thought they were going to limit Joe Reber, key on him, and say somebody else needs to step up and beat us. And Braden Volkers did that. And so that's the thing with Melba is it wasn't just Reber. It wasn't even just Reber and Volkers, but you had Cash Buse, the great sophomore.
And they're just so athletic. That was the thing when I saw Melba play back in January. I said, they're one of the most athletic teams I'd seen at any level. It doesn't matter the level. They were, you had Buse down there, Volkers. It's just everybody is an athlete on that team, and clearly dominant athletes, right? To go through Ambrose, North Fremont, and St. Mary's to win a state championship.
Definitely. Well, Melba sweeps the awards for our 2A boys basketball all tournament team. Joe Reber was the MVP of the tournament. Cash Buse was the defensive MVP. And they even won the 6th man award with Tucker Lober, who came off the bench and averaged 11 points per game off the bench for Melba. So that was pretty impressive. Other Mustangs who got honors, Braden Volkers made the first team all tournament team as well. And for Ambrose, Hudson Hughes was a first team all tournament team selection. And Johnny Sugarman made the 2nd team all-tournament team. So congratulations to all those guys from Ambrose and Melba for being selected there.
Yeah, they're a loaded squad. It's a shame they're going to lose, some guys next year because they really were fun to watch that squad. And I know they do have quite a bit coming back as well.
Yeah, let's just say those two teams will be in the mix again next year for sure. Okay, you mentioned the 3A where Homedale came in as the number 6 seed, opening round, having to play Snake River. What a ball game. This might have been one of the best games of the entire weekend. Double overtime. Snake River escapes 51-50. That sends Homedale into the consolation part of the bracket where they win out. They win a pair of tight games, 50-46 over Sugar Salem and a loser out, and then 57-56 over Bonners Ferry in the consolation final. But hey, the Trojans and Coach Long bringing home a trophy.
Yeah, no, great job. And you know what? I know it's basketball, but I'm sure that win over Sugar tasted an extra, a little bit sweeter, pun intended. They have been a thorn. All those guys are on the football team, right? Kinchlow, Fisher, Jackson Dines, they're all on the football team, and they are sick of Sugar Salem. They're tired of them. And so to win that game, I am sure there was no extra motivation there at all, Wink. I'm sure it tasted a little bit sweet to finally knock them off, even if it was on the basketball court instead of the football field, but to finally get an ounce of revenge on the Diggers, and they do it, right? They beat that Sugar Salem squad and move on, and they were a team, like I mentioned earlier, that I thought had a real shot. They played Homedale or McCall Donnelly very close all year, and I thought that they were going to get over that hump in the tournament if they could get past Snake River, and I really thought that they were going to make a run for it, but obviously they made a run on the other side, which was just as impressive. And on the other end, you've got McCall Donnelly, who makes another run to the state championship, but just kind of, unfortunately for District 3, just falls a little bit flat in that state championship game. But we'll give props where it's due to Kimberly for coming out with a fantastic game and winning that.
Yeah, so for the Vandals of McCall Donnelly, it was a tough road to back to the championship, second championship game appearance in 2 years. They beat Sugar Salem only 49-43 in the first round, and then they had to survive. They did to Snake River what Snake River did to Homedale. They beat Snake River in overtime, 54-52. In that game, Snake River was horrendous from the free throw line. They were like 50% from the free throw line, and McCall Donnelly was like 85 to 90%. I mean, DJ Green alone made 11 free throws in the fourth quarter to get McCall Donnelly.
Flash.
Yeah, I guess fourth quarter in overtime to get McCall Donnelly to the championship. And you mentioned it, Kimberly with one of the all-time great defensive teams at state set a new record in that championship game for fewest points allowed in a 3A state tournament game. They only gave up 22 points to McCall Donnelly. That was a smothering defense. The Vandals just couldn't get comfortable, and that's more on Kimberly, I would say, than McCall Donnelly.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw teams that want to grind out games and keep scores low, couldn't even hold teams to 22 points. And Kimberly comes out and does that. And that McCall Donnelly team can put up points, right? DJ Green, I don't know what he averaged on the season exactly, but he had to be buttoned up against those 22 points. During the regular season, and to only be held to that many total, that is, like you said, just a dominant performance by Kimberly. And I don't know if anybody besides the folks there in Kimberly saw this coming. Right when that 3A tournament kicked off, I think a lot of people were like, oh, Marsh Valley, oh, Snake River, or McCall Donnelly. And Kimberly says, oh, wait a second, we're here. And they go on just a phenomenal run, and congrats to them. I think they were of the champions besides Hawaii won their first one because they were the first one, but Hillcrest won for the first time in a long time. But Kimberly had a long drought right between state championships, so that was a great experience for them to finally get one under their belt.
Yeah, Owyhee and Rockland and Hillcrest all won state titles for the first time ever in school history, those three teams. Fruitland made it to state as well. They went 2-0, but they had a nice season as well. Here's the all-tournament honors from District 3 schools. On the first team, all-tournament team, you had Jackson Dines from Homedale and both DJ Green and Alex Johnson from McCall Donnelly. Second team, all-tournament team, Mason Strong from Homedale made that. And then on the honorable mention team, you had Nolan Bauer from Fruitland and Hayden Kinchlow from Homedale. So congrats to all of those guys for their all-tournament honors. 1A D2. Let's stop there next because we had Council get to the semifinals where they had to that tournament was a nail biter. It seemed like every game.
Every game.
Yeah, it was the smallest level really brought some good battles, and Council got into the semifinal round feeling pretty good, and Camas County in one of the few runaway games ran away from Council 62-40, but the Council rebounded to beat Cary for third place, so the Lumberjacks go home with the third place trophy.
I mean, that Cary team was second, right? They had that second seed. They were a very good Cary team. They didn't lose a lot of games this season. They were tough. Cary's just good at everything. They have fantastic athletes, good basketball players. Impressive by Council. I mean, I think a lot of people will see it when you talk about the 1A D1, where a lot of the District 3 teams 2 and out, or they just struggle in the tournament. And for Council to show up, boys and girls, right? The girls make a run to the state championship. The boys put up a fight and beat Cary. I mean, that's a huge win. So third place for Council. Boys and girls finished in the top 3. You can't beat that for the Lumberjacks this year.
Pretty awesome. And Cascade went 2 and out, but the fact that they got to state after being the 4 seeded districts was pretty awesome to see as well. Award winners from District 3 in that 1A D2 tournament. You had Porter McLean of Council make the first team all-tournament team. Second all-tournament team, you had Thatcher McLean from Council, as well as Cole Olson from Cascade. And then on the honorable mention team, Wyatt Vining from Council also got selected there. So congrats to those guys. And then Logan, let's recap the 1A D1 tournament. That's the tournament that you and I were at.
Yep.
You had Rimrock and Liberty Charter representing District 3. And Rimrock, what a fun story this was. They got to state for like the third time ever in school history, first trip to state since 2008. And they lost their first round game to Grace, but then they played Liberty Charter in a loser out battle, and they won that game over Liberty Charter 52-46. It was kind of a tight game, and they celebrated like no other when that got over. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, they were stoked to win that game. It was fun to watch them. They had a great crowd. And I don't know, maybe the nerves for them in that first game, they really struggled. But I think in that second game, we really saw them kind of settle down and play the basketball that they wanted to play. Gus Black had a huge game in that win over Liberty Charter in the second round. It was fun to watch. He was very fun to watch. He might have been, you look at Lapway, who ran away with it, and of course they have fun players to watch. Of course, we know. So we're just going to push them aside because everybody enjoys watching their athletes play. They're fun. But besides them, Gus Black might have been my favorite guy to watch out there, especially on Friday. He was a monster, right? He was he was involved in everything. He was in on everything. If it was there, fighting for it, just doing the dirty work down low. He was just a fun player to watch play. And the whole Rimrock, just the experience, I think. Tons of fans there. They were way into it. It was fun to watch them encourage their team and then watch them come away with that win on Friday.
Yeah, and then Saturday, Gus Black struggled a little bit, and Aiden Akiso picked up the slack as Rimrock won the consolation title over Oakley. So they got to bring home a trophy. They won 51-38. All tournament team selections from Liberty Charter and Rimrock. Nobody made the first team, but the second team, you saw Dallin Criddle from Liberty Charter. And, what a great career he's had for the Patriots. He's been a really fun player to watch. Gus Black from Rimrock made the second team, all tournament team also. And then on the honorable mention squad, Aiden Akiso on the back of that Saturday performance made the honorable mention team. So it was a lot of fun to watch all of those teams compete. And for one last weekend, basketball, it didn't disappoint in the state of Idaho.
No, just across the state. I mean, if you were at the Idaho Center at all on Saturday, it was. We got there early, and it was loud for that Camas County Rockland game, and it never quieted down, and it just continued to fill in and full by Saturday night, and just a great weekend of basketball for the state of Idaho. Fun environments, just shows kind of what we missed last year, right? At that state tournament when that place could be packed and rocking and rolling, and it was fun. It was a fun weekend. Great basketball all around.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that'll do it for this week's edition of the SIC Prepcast. As we close the book on winter sports season, we'll take a week off and kind of decompress, and then we will come back and hit the ground running with the spring sports season. And also we need to give Logan some time to lament his Idaho Vandals losing in the Big Sky Conference tournament opener.
I mean, you knew it was going to happen. Like it was. I mean, they did have a shot at the buzzer to tie it. They were down big most of the game, and they clawed their way back like the last 2 minutes and almost had it. But I did see some. Some Idaho high school athletes there, which is kind of fun. Taking in the action. So I don't think I've ever been to a college basketball game at 9:30 a.m. So I'll check that off the bucket list.
Yeah, that's tough for sure.
The
Titus,
concessions weren't even open. Like they don't have breakfast burritos and mini packs of Lucky Charms there at the it's not CenturyLink. What is it now? ICCU Arena.
Right.
But I'm going to recommend it for next year.
No doubt. And Titus, you're out from Lapway. I know was in attendance watching today. The Vandals should have tried to sneak him into the locker room. He's going to play for the Vandals next year, right?
Come on down here and hop in this thing, man. We need you. We need you.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you back here in 2 weeks for another edition of the Treasure Valley Prepcast. For Logan Green, I'm Brandon Baney, and we'll see you next time on IdahoSports.com.